Thanks for tuning in for another currently reading. I finally finished reading Becoming Darkness by Lindsay Francis Brambles, and it was just okay. If you're hoping to get a vampire horror book that's YA, don't look in the direction of this. While the introductory plot to this book sounded interesting, World War II and vampire plague sounds like a great possible story, but this ended up being like I have to say before I say this, I've never read Twilight. It was like a Twilight ripoff. It was kind of like copycatting a lot of other books in similar genres, so it was just okay. I was kind of generous by giving it a 3 out of 5 star rating. I know a lot of people read this, or they didn't even finish it, and I know there were so many DNFs for this book. Like, a lot of people felt that it was not worth their time, so I'm going to leave that one up to you guys if you want to check that out. So, I was thinking about what I really wanted to read, and when I worked at the college library over the summer, I had come across this book. It's Saxons, Vikings, and Celts. And this has a different title in the UK. In the UK, it's called The Blood of the Isles. And it's basically a DNA analysis of the people that make up the people of the Isles. And the author goes over why he refers to it as the Isles instead of the UK, because Ireland is not a part of the UK. And yeah, it's a whole, but they're all the same peoples, more or less. So this should be very interesting. I'm hoping that, sometimes when you get, like, books about historical time periods, it all depends on how well they're written, whether they're going to be, like, dry textbook history, or if it's going to be interesting history. So I'm hoping this is going to be interesting. One of my friends on Goodreads had read this, and they rated it, like, 4 out of 5 stars, so I'm hoping it's going to be worth my time reading. Of course, I am reading a trade with that. I'm currently reading Ghost Rider Volume 2, The Life and Death of Johnny Blaze. As someone who's not really totally familiar with Ghost Rider, this has been kind of interesting because it kind of gives you, like, an idea what the Ghost Rider is like. One of my major criticisms of this book so far is that the first 6 issues, the artwork is horrible. The people are not proportioned right, and but it is an interesting story, as I said. And if you really care to hear what I think about this, check out next week's Week in Review, where I'll go over this book with all the other ones I've read for the week. But yeah, I mean, I read a lot of these, and I do realize that if you look at my channel, that's mostly the stuff I talk about on this channel are trade paperbacks and graphic novels. I'm also reading on my Kindle app on my phone. I'm reading Rage Against the Night, which is a collection of short stories that features a number of different authors, such as Peter Straub, Stephen King, David Lonsdale, I think his name is, and a couple other people. There's a lot of, like, smaller authors I've never heard of, but I've read some pretty cool, interesting stories. Like, for instance, a story I read last night was about the roadside memorials that people set up after somebody dies, and there's, like, this guy made a story about it, and it was really cool, really interesting. It was kind of creepy and scary. So, yeah. That's what I'm currently reading. If you have read any of these, of course, let me know what you thought of them, or if you anticipate reading any of these things, let me know that as well, and I'm always interested to hear what you guys are reading as well. So, thank you for watching, and until next time, later, guys.